Greetings and welcome to The Classical Mom Show. I am the Classical Mom. Today my topic is Petronius Arbiter's Satyricon. Aristotle wrote in Poetics that characters of comical plays must be worse than the average theatergoer. The comical effect is created by our superiority to the bumbling fools on stage. Petronius Arbiter has truly taken heed as the characters inhabiting Satyricon are truly the basis of the base. The book starts with orgies and ends in cannibalism. In her book, The Well-Educated Mind, Susan Wise Bauer describes 3 stages of education. These 3 stages can also be applied to reading a book. The first stage is the grammar stage, or inquiring, what does the author say? The second is the logic stage, or why and how does the author say what he says? The third stage is the rhetoric stage, a stage of evaluation and self-reflection. I will try to follow these building blocks in my review of the book. So, grammar. What actually is going on in Satyricon? Petronius Arbiter's Satyricon lived in Rome in the 1st century and is speculated to have worked in Emperor Nero's court. There he might have witnessed some scenes similar or even surpassing those depicted in the book, or what is left of the book, as it survives only in fragments, some shorter and some longer. The book follows the trials and tribulations of Encopius and his servant lover, Giton, described as a boy. The book is a picaresque novel, or in this case, a picaresque collection of fragments where the heroes travel from place to place in search of and often finding carnal pleasure in its various and most depraved forms. They meet wealthy ex-slaves, lusty maidens, lusty priestesses, lusty poets, and from time to time find themselves in trouble, usually of their own making, that they now need to find a comical way out of. It is a parody of an epic. Next comes logic. Why and how? Satyricon is a comedy, at least in its day standards. Most of Satyricon is written in prose, but there is one long, pompous poem on the Roman Civil War between Julius Caesar and Pompey Magnus. It is difficult to say if Satyricon has a message or if it wants to do anything else but entertain. Comedy as a genre, in the end, upholds the normative worldview of its era. As pieces of Satyricon survive, one can say if it would have a normative ending to all its transgressive content. But how transgressive was it compared to its times? The era of Emperor Nero was not the best of times for the Roman Empire. Famously, the emperor's favorite horse was made a senator. Half of Rome was burnt to the ground and Christians persecuted. This book is set in and depicts a crumbling society without any morality left. So one might link the loss of morality in general and sexual depravity in particular to a failed society. Now for the rhetorical stage. There are some interesting episodes in the book, and the best one is its longest, the wealthy ex-slave Trimalchio's dinner. The introduction included in my edition mentions how F. Scott Fitzgerald considered naming what was later to be known as the Great Gatsby after this character in Satyricon known to throw great parties. Perhaps once titillating previous esteemed readers, nowadays its immorality and stupidity barely matches anything on the latest episode of reality TV or the longest-running cop show. I read an analysis how ingeniously Satyricon mixes various ancient genres. This might be an interesting observation for the Latinists, but I'm a hobbyist reader, so unfortunately I didn't find joy in the literary analysis. In my opinion, Satyricon is not a great book. As its comedy has aged quite poorly, for me, its merits are not literal, but historical. Some depictions of ancient religious rituals or the progression of the Great Banquet were interesting as semi-historic evidence of the past. Reading Satyricon led me to think, is every book from antiquity worth the read just because it has survived for a long time? The Renaissance dug up everything antique, and Satyricon was also revived in the 15th and 16th centuries. Back then, it seems to have inspired the previously mentioned picaresque novels. So in conclusion, I would say that even though Satyricon in itself is not a great literary work, in my opinion, it forms a basis and is at the beginning of a trajectory to great works. So in this sense, it is a worthwhile, although not an essential read. But if you read it, for adults only. Hope you have enjoyed listening to my thoughts on Satyricon and that they have inspired you on your own journey into classical texts and great books. If you want to share your take on Satyricon, leave a comment below.